Asif, Yaqub, I head up sales for Europe, and the reason probably why you haven't heard of us is we just came out of stealth back in September. We took our Series A at beginning of March with Google Ventures, which was a great moment for us. I started about a week ago at RSA. Aidan is head of product management. We worked together at ForcePoint. Previous to that, I was at Symantec and Bluecoat, came through the acquisition. So the founder is also ex-Symantec, ex-ForcePoint. A lot of the cloud engineering team are all ex-Symantec, ForcePoint. So when we were trying to solve this problem, we all know the pains that we had with the customers. So a bit of background. So why is it Dope Security, right? Dope, and the founder is there on the bottom right canal. Aidan's there in shorts when he was in India, enjoying himself.
It was warm.
It was hot. So Dope, is born out of California, Dope Security. So everything over there is like, Dope means passion, means cool. And the founder being from the Bay Area, California, he's really wanted the company name to mean something. He's like, what does Palo Alto mean? What does Zscaler mean? Like Palo Alto wasn't even founded in Palo Alto, right? So he's like really, really passionate about the brand. And like, I'm wearing the jacket, you guys all see. The first hire that we made was very purposeful. It was head of design, right? And you'll see that when we see the demo as well. So, when we say we're putting our Dope signature on everything, it's like customer service, design, the products we do, how we release things, how we show up. So it's all about Dope Security, right? And we've had a few CISOs starting to say it's dope conversation, so hopefully it'll catch on. But yeah, we're about 32 staff now, and we've got teams in India, in Cork, where Aidan's based. I'm based in the UK, and then we've got a few folk over in the US. So in terms of what Dope Security does, right, it's having been at Bluecoat, Symantec, ForcePoint, a lot of the products that sold was around the proxy. So we are a proxy, secure web gateway, and the whole approach is fly direct. And why do we say fly direct, right? It's why would you take a flight from London, go into Scotland and stop over in Paris, right? Just doesn't make sense. And the secure web gateway market is a very crowded market. You've got your Zscalers, Netscopes, and all the other good companies out there. But the architecture has moved on now, right? So we had on-premise, everybody's familiar with that, right? It's data centers, and then there was a lift and shift, moved to the cloud. We tried that as well at Bluecoat and Symantec, and there were lots and lots of problems, right? You probably guys all know the problems that you get with the cloud security providers. So we designed a proxy that sits on the endpoint, right? And we have no reliance on any data center, any cloud, right? We do have a control plane to manage the endpoints, which is in AWS, but the agent and all the inspection is done on the endpoint. That's quite a big thing. Sometimes it takes people to a few minutes just to, that sink in, right? It's really, really powerful, right? It's less than 100 meg agent. It's super fast, reliable. We don't have any data centers, so no outages. SSL is a big thing, right? From a privacy perspective, that's all done on the endpoint as well. So it's, me as a sales guy, I always tell this to everybody, right? Before I joined, I said to Kunal, I was like, how the hell were you able to do this, right? Why has nobody ever done it before? And he's like, look, just go and play with the product. I downloaded it from the website, so everyone's feel free to go to Dope Security's website. You can download a free 30-day trial. It literally took me, and as a salesperson, right, within 5 minutes, I was able to download it, configure it, block pages, unblock pages, see my shadow IT, everything in there. And do you want to go to the next slide? So it's really, really, really simple. So I didn't want to spend ages on in terms of where's the SWIG come from and everything like that. But what we did want to do is provide you a demo, right? So I think.
Yeah, I think I'll take it. Yeah.
You can take it from there, right?
So I suppose just to reiterate what Asif was saying. So essentially, the current players in the cloud security gateway market for SWIGs, they'll route your traffic from your device and they'll send it to a data center, wherever that data center may be. And it's their policy is applied. So policy is going to be applied in the cloud. So What we've essentially done is we've taken the need for the box and the cloud away, and we've moved the proxy onto the device. So regardless of where your end users are, policy will always be applied. All they need is an internet connection. So we will actually apply policy before the traffic leaves the device, and then the traffic will connect to the internet exactly the same way as it would have without us being there. So that solves a lot of issues in terms of reliability and performance as well. So I was product manager for the endpoints in Forcepoint, and one of the biggest complaints was these data centers are shared between multiple customers, so all the traffic is being decrypted and policies being applied together. So that's no longer the case because every user has their own proxy. So I suppose the proof of the eating is in the pudding, as they say. So let me start by showing you the endpoint. So as you can see here, the Dope Security endpoint is installed on my Mac laptop. So this is an Intel. We also support M1 as well, and we support Windows 11 and 10. I'll draw your attention, right? The endpoint knows who I am. So you can see that it's Aidan@dope.security. So when this endpoint is installed, you will need to provide either your Google or O365 credentials, depending on what service you're using for email. Once we have that, then we have the identity. So what that means then is we can apply specific policies just for this user or for groups that this user is a member of. So you'll see here that I'm assigned to Aidan's policy, which is obviously my test policy. So let me just show you. So if I come in here, and let me go first let's go to a normal website. So you'll see here that it's very quick because the policy's been applied, and I've connected even over the low bandwidth network that we have here. But you'll see that if I go to here, you see that we're intercepting that traffic and we're decrypting that traffic so that we can apply policy to it. So we categorize the URL, and then we can, based on the policy that's configured in the cloud, we can then allow or block or provide a warning page as well. So that would mean then if I wanted to go to, let's say I go to, you can see straight away that I'm instantly blocked from accessing Gmail, and you can see that it's categorized as a malicious website. Good spot. So yeah, it's fairly topical, isn't it? So, and I can do the same. So if I go to Pirate Bay, you see again it's blocked for category. And my favorite one, my cousin's website. So if I go to Paddy Power, you see in my policy that's blocked. So you'll see that this is a customized web page, so you can customize the block pages and the warning pages to be whatever. So you can provide your end users with whatever information they need to why they cannot access this website, or maybe you want to warn them to say you can access it, but it's should only be for corporate reasons.
What about connections from PowerShell?
Yeah, so that we monitor all traffic. We're at the transport layer, we're not at the application layer. So any process that, at the moment we're monitoring HTTP, HTTPS on 80 and 443. Now in the roadmap we are planning on private access, which will mean we will have to monitor all ports and all protocols, so like SSH and so forth, so that's coming. The first thing we did is the secure web gateway just for web traffic, but any process that's accessing will be blocked. We'll categorize all of that traffic.
And if the person doesn't have an identity, for example, a service account or domain controller, you want to have that tool running there, how do you make that work?
So sorry?
So you say you want to deploy the agent to your service domain controllers as well, but you don't have a user identity. How do you deploy that?
At the moment, you'd have to have an identity for it to run. Okay, so at the moment we have support for Windows Server. We will run on Windows Server. Now, you can set up the tool to not run it or to not use identity, to run just basically with the session ID, but that would have to be done on a tenant level. But maybe I can discuss it with you in a second. I can give you more info. So this is the control plane. So this is when Asif was speaking about dope. So when I joined the company, it was the architecture that I actually joined for, because I knew that this would solve a lot of the problems that I was seeing with customers in Forcepoint. But as time has gone on, it's nearly, the UX is probably as big a thing as the actual endpoint itself. So you can see here, this is our production account, and you can see the different locations that we're in. So you can see that we're across the US, in London today, and then we're also in India. You can see down the bottom, it gives an overview of the policy, of your policy and how it's running. So you can see the number of blocks over the last 7 days, what categories are being blocked. We also have a productivity and shadow IT view as well, which gives you an insight into visibility into what the end users are doing. Well, let me just go and show you the policy, right? So this is my policy, as you saw earlier, Aidan's policy. We have 83 categories. You can see that by default we would block obviously security. We will also block illegal and adult material. Now, you see that gambling is the one that I'd blocked earlier. So let me just show you that we can as well go in here and let's say I want to give myself access to gambling. So again, we're integrated. In this case, it's with our Google Workspace. So we have access to the users and groups and we keep the product in sync with that. So if anyone was to leave or to move groups or whatever, their policy would automatically be updated. So you can see here, I can add Aidan and I can just simply with 2 clicks change that from a block to an allow. And when I save that, so what the cloud will do now is it will identify everyone that's assigned to this policy and it'll push out the update. So you'll see here from here that policy has now been updated at 3:20. So when I go back to, and there you go, you've got access then to the Paddy Pro. So with the architecture, well, because the policy is running on the device and because the cloud knows exactly who's assigned to what policy, then once you save it, the cloud will send out the notification that a new policy exists and it will be updated straight away.
And that's what it's going to make actually here, right?
So the other thing is we also have cloud app controls. So in the case of cloud app controls, traditionally this would have been part of the CASB offering. It would have been a separate license, and in most cases it would have been 2 proxies, 2 cloud proxies. It would have hit the secure web gateway proxy. It would have detected that it's a cloud application, and then it would have transferred that to a CASB proxy for the policy to be applied. But again, we're doing it all on the proxy in the device. So you can see I can then control access to Google. So you see I've put in the allowed domain here, which is dope.security. So again, when I hit save, so this again will update, and you'll see here now that it's 1321. If I go to my personal Gmail here, and I go to load it, then hey presto, I'm now blocked from accessing that personal, corporate, or consumer login. So you can see that if you wanted to, as part of the config, you could allow access to the consumer logins here, and a feature we've got coming probably in the next 6 to 7 weeks is we'll have a read-only feature here, which would mean that you can allow people access to their personal Gmails, but we would block uploads and we block attachments to emails and so forth. So it gives that little bit of control. Again, it's a data exfiltration use case. So again, as you can see, that's all done instantaneous.
I'm sure you asked this a lot. Surely, how do you stop a user from disabling it? Can you hide it fully?
So, it's not hidden fully, but we have anti-tampering. So if someone tries to kill the process, it'll restart. All the files would be under control as well, so people wouldn't be able to delete them or open them and so forth. Like endpoint agents, that's standard for enterprise endpoint agents really. So you need to control all of that. So let me just go in and I can show you some more of the UI. So here you can see this is a policy overview. So you can see this is actually, that's the development environment. Sorry, let me go. People are testing at the moment, so let me just go to the production one. So you can see that this is over the last 7 days exactly how the policy's been performing. You can see the number of violations, number of malware blocks, the number of cloud application control blocks. You see a trend as well. On the right, this would be the live activity, so you could see blocks as they're coming in. I could then search, so let's search for the boss and see what he's up to. So we can then get an overview of exactly the details on exactly what's been blocked. So you can see here the URL, the domain that they were trying to access, exactly the category and exactly why it was blocked. And on the right, then you get more information in terms of process, name, and so forth. So you can export this to CSV. We do support integration to SIM. So you can provide us with an S3 bucket, and we will take all of this data, not just the blocks, but full visibility into all the web transactions from the endpoint, and they would be kept in sync in an S3 bucket, and then whatever SIM platform you're using, they can ingest that, and that information can then be used as well. It's the same for productivity. So again, this just isn't just blocks. This is what are people using their corporate endpoints for. So you can get the full detail. You can see when they're accessing it during the day, the top users and the top categories. And if I select inside here, I can go into more detail then as well in terms of what domains from that category are people actually accessing. There's also a shadow IT view. So the shadow IT view, this shows exactly what are the top cloud applications that are in use at the moment. And if I select here as well, I can see who the users are. Now, I'll touch on this in a minute. This is the next feature that we're going to enhance. So at the moment, we're just showing this based on data transferred. But going forward, we're actually going to give visibility into how users are accessing these cloud applications. So I'll show you in a sec with some screenshots of the work that's going on, but you'll be able to see from your Gmail, okay, someone's using the corporate Gmail account, but they're also using 4 personal Gmail accounts as well. And again, we have the cloud application control policy that would allow you to control that as well if you need to. We also have a location view, so this is like a data residency view for those cloud apps. So from here you can see where is the data from those apps, where are they residing. Okay. So I'll quickly, sorry. So we've also got an endpoint view here. So you have visibility into how your endpoints are performing. If I select here, again, these are lessons learned from previous lives. You can debug this remotely, so you don't have to go to the end user to get logs. So if a problem does occur, you can do it from here. The other thing is a lot of these endpoint agents currently, when they break traffic for the user. That's something that we wanted to get away from. So we've implemented basically, if the agent goes into error, you'll be notified here, but we will get out of the way of the traffic so that your end users will still be able to work. Because that was one of the biggest complaints always in previous companies, that you're after breaking our traffic, no one can work. So we were very conscious of that. Let me just...
Any questions so far?
Any questions, folks? Uncategorized sites, you've got that as a...
Uncategorized, yeah, that's a category there that you can control as well. Yeah.
Sorry, there was one there. Yep.
Lots of questions. Sorry, for the authentication piece, would it integrate with your standard SSO?
Yeah.
And how does it work with VPN?
So we access before the VPN, so the VPN will work afterwards. I was only talking to someone earlier about it. So we actually intercept the traffic before, and then however that device is going to access the internet, that will continue.
And the policies, where do they actually reside?
So they're in the cloud. So we, at the moment, we have them replicated in the US, Frankfurt, and in Singapore.
Can you have geography policies? So China, if you go China for whatever reason?
You would be, if you created a group within your O365 or your Google Workspace, then you can assign that policy to that group. Yeah, that would be the standard use case, because I guess I'll just show you. You can have multiple policies. So this is the test environment, and just from inside here, then you just assign that to the group. So you can see this is assigned to me.
And just another thing, so in regards to VPN, the early part of next year, I don't know if you've got time to show a quick one slide on the roadmap, but we'll have the fly direct approach to private access as well. So that's coming. So we started with the basic proxy on the endpoint. CASB, DLP features coming, the SSL interception update piece is coming as well in the next week or so. And then early part of next year will be the fly direct approach in terms of private access. So you could say, fly direct SSE, right?
And nowadays, a lot of us, we do BYOD, we bring our own laptops in. How do you put controls on somebody else's personal property?
So I always answer that question with, it's very hard to get people to put software on their own phones. So we do have on the roadmap iOS and Android, but at the moment, unless people are purchasing the actual phones for people, it's very difficult to get them to put software on there. So it's something that is in the roadmap that we will cover at some stage, but at the moment we're going to concentrate on the Mac and the Windows.
Sorry, there's a question. I'm just curious. If you put a block in for dope security with
So say that again.
So if you're putting the block for dope security, so your agent needs to reach out to dope security to get the new policy, they can push down. But if that connection is blocked by the agent, what happens?
Well, we bypass all of our own traffic by default. So like within either the redirector or the Windows driver that we have, then we bypass all our own traffic straight away. So
that's only if you want to update the policy, right? Yeah, because the initial policy. Yeah. So if are you talking about a scenario where you need to update the policy, right?
Usually, there's ways to use security tools against yourself.
Yeah, no, like we've already set up those bypasses, but you have to bypass all that traffic by default because it'll screw everything up. Yeah. So just to quickly touch, so like proxies, right? I've worked in proxies for many years, and obviously proxies come with some deployment issues. What we've done is we've basically come up with an idea where the endpoint is also going to report when it breaks traffic. So you can see here on the left and the right, we have two different views. In the main view, you'll be able to see exactly what applications have been broken, and then a simple click here on the bypass, it'll then bypass that problem. So again, it's trying to get away from the fact the end user contacts the admin contacts us, and then there's a big loop to find out what needs to be bypassed. Here the endpoint is going to tell the admin you need to bypass this. So again, it'll make deployment of the proxy a lot easier. On the right, we'd be able to do it on an endpoint view as well.
I'll quick for you, go on.
So finally, I'll be very quick, Mark, I'll be very quick. So on the right here, so this is how we're going to extend the shadow IT view. You'll be able to see for this user exactly what cloud apps they're using, but how they're using them, what accounts they're using, how much data they're transferring from those accounts as well. That is part of the SWIG as well. That's not a CASB, would have been traditionally a CASB feature. That's something that we have included in the SWIG. We're also going to implement CASB starting with SSPM, so giving people a view into what third-party apps have access to their Google Workspace. O365 will extend it as we go, Amazon starting with the two of those. And finally, CASB DLP, so any externally facing data, so that would be stuff with external permissions on your Google or O365, or any files that have been touched by one of those third-party apps that have been given access to it. We'll scan it, and you'll be able to see here exactly where there's PII, PCI, PHI, and the other thing here, this is where we're going to leverage the LLM to actually provide that, because we've been testing with it, and it provides a lot more information in terms of where the data is, so you can make a decision. And the last bit is private access. So you can see on the private access piece here, this is basically a very simple configuration. You say, what are the URLs of the domains for the private app, who I want to have access to them, and that's it. Again, fly direct. We're not going to go through the cloud. We're going to create peer-to-peer connection from the endpoint to wherever that private app may be. We'll connect to a connector and point a firewall in the cloud, wherever it may be.
Okay.
So guys, the other thing, I think Asif's touched on it, is dope.security login. You don't need to set up a demo with me. Corporate email, either O365 or Google, and you can trial the product instantly. It'll take 2 or 3 minutes to set the whole thing up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.